Hello, everybody.
Oh,
Hi.
Oh my
Well,
god, hi.
This is a great start to a campaign. I think you've deafened me, Dan.
Yeah. We're going to start as we mean to go on. You're absolutely right. It is the start of a new campaign, isn't it? Wow, session
Very,
one. Session
very
one.
exciting.
No one knows what's
What?
going on.
What?
Hooray!
One.
One.
Gosh.
Juan Juno. Yes. Hi. Brand new campaign alert. We're about to jump into it. By this point, you may well have already seen the session 0 and the meet the characters, so you kind of have an idea of who's going on. But just in case, hi, my name's DM Dan. I'm the head honcho around here, and arrayed around me are my minions. So just quickly say hello to Tim, Meg, Carl, and Lane. Hello.
Hello.
Are you all excited? Are you all ready for what's to
Oh my
come?
god, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Very much so.
Amazing.
Pumped.
Well, we've spent a lot of time making our way to this point, so I guess the only thing we can really do at this precise moment in time is just to, I don't know, get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's play some D&D.
Yes.
The world has been broken and remade. Our civilizations are shattered, our people divided. Yet there are those who would rise up to challenge the encroaching darkness.
Hi, my name's Carl. I'm playing Sir Carmichael Comstock, a Lorivar Cavalier fighter.
Hi, I'm Meg. I'm playing Addy, a keeper druid bard.
Hi, my name is Anton, and I play Victor, a Lorivar Gloomstalker ranger.
Hi, my name's Lane. I'm playing Milia Sayralast, an Asavar Divine Soul Sorcerer.
My name's Tim, and I'm playing Galena, the Terran Sprite Alchemist Artificer.
And my name is Dan. I will be the Dungeon Master on this adventure. Whilst our world has been changed, we band together. Hope bright in our hearts. We push forward to reclaim what was once ours, and we shall be known as the Explorers of Elsewhere.
Welcome to Elsewhere, a beautiful and peaceful world filled with mystery, wonder, and splendor. Since times long forgotten, the people of Elsewhere have flourished under the watchful eyes of all-powerful gods, known simply as the Pantheon. Led by the Broodfather Eschaton and Dragon Mother Aya, this time of peace would unravel with the start of the War of the Heavens Above. As dragon fought dragon, and mortal fought mortal, the world of Elsewhere as we knew it came to an end. The name of the events in the Draconic tongue was the Eschaton, the end of the world. In the space of weeks, Elsewhere saw her landscapes warped, twisted, and remade by reality-shattering magics. Gods be born from mortal prayers, and 8 dragons sealed away for their crimes. In the aftermath of the Eschaton, the peoples of Elsewhere found themselves divided, scattered, and hopeless. But all is not lost, for some brave few have managed to band together and venture out into the world under the name Explorers. And so, we find a group of 4 relative strangers traveling along a road that has arguably never been traveled along before. The sounds of horse and cart trundling behind them, somewhat hopeful chatter bouncing between certain people of this caravan. the carts are festooned and decorated with all manner of colours and hopeful-looking faces. And at the front, there are these strangers. So, cutting an imposing figure among the four is a armoured man walking at the front, one watchful eye glancing backwards and forwards, perhaps with a bit too much frequency. But who is this?
This is Carmichael Comstock, Sir Carmichael Comstock, I shall have you know. A Knight of the Hill, as his title grants him. An old man, as you rightly said, only one eye, also half an ear, which is hidden behind his very tattered and beaten armor. It's more rust than steel these days. But yeah, he wears it proudly. And with a big kite shield in front of him and a sword sheath, his one hand resting on it. And you're right, his eye is constantly moving to the edges of the road as he stays just slightly ahead of the pack.
Okay. And as your gaze kind of flits from left to right and back again, it's been some time since you set out on this expedition with these young hopefuls who are calling themselves the Explorers Society. But most curiously are three of your companions who are kind of scattered throughout the caravan. And as your head turns, which of the other three does your eye land on?
Ooh, who do I want to throw the gauntlet at first? I imagine the tallest of them. He sees the pair of horns and the head sticking up above most other people, so that is who his gaze fixes upon first. The keeper among us.
Okay, so as Comstock kind of looks back into the caravan at this young female keeper, quite rightly stood a good head taller than pretty much anyone else on the expedition. What is currently capturing that keeper's attention?
Addie, to her friends, Dryadia to her parents, is currently furiously scribbling down notes in a little sort of patchwork leather-bound notebook, looking around her different companions, and actually at the shape of the carts and the beasts pulling them and the contents, and just sort of studying every little detail of everyone's faces and the way they're walking and the way they're talking with each other, just utterly absorbed in the company around her. And I think what's particularly capturing her attention is actually the small feisty form as of Galena, because Galena is something that Addie has never seen before, so she's just even trying maybe to sketch out sort of Galena's form, and it's probably not looking that great, so she would never show anyone this. But yeah, just utter sort of amazement and excitement on sort of that she's trying to sort of keep back a bit because she knows she doesn't want to stare, but just furtive glances over the page.
Sure. Okay. And this particular small diminutive figure happens to look over her shoulder at just the right moment to catch you really kind of staring. And what does this lady make of it?
I think it's just yet another in a long train of annoying distractions because it's really hard to do chemistry on a cart. Yeah, you're mostly aware of Galena not so much because she's been talking to you guys much, but because of some odd acrid smells that occasionally waft past and some yelled swearing every time rock is hit. The small kind of craggy dark-skinned sprite is just desperately trying to balance a burette and kind of sees you staring and she's like, not another one. And she carries on desperately trying to drip this away. She gets getting a little bit frustrated though. I think she probably she's gonna take a second, clear her head, take a minute to look around the convoy, and there's probably, I think, one other person who catches her eye because of how much they don't stand out is a pale blonde-haired lady who's just been kind of always hovering on the edges, and that's interesting to Galena because that is somewhere that she's kind of familiar with herself.
Sure. As you look out to this kind of third lady that's part of the troop, but yeah, you've noticed seemingly kind of on the periphery. You notice as one of the caravan guards, dressed in kind of like grey leathers, not the greatest equipment, you realise, but it looks like it suits a purpose. You've been warned that the road ahead is prone to getting quite chilly at night. But you notice one of these guards approach the young kind of Asavar and sort of like kind of lean out and try to grab her attention. And what does this young lady do upon being approached?
Oh, sorry. Clutches the book she always has with her tight to her chest. Sorry.
Sorry to bother you, miss. It's just
No.
we've never been in the presence of, a prophetess, So yeah, we're just honoured to be here with you, and sorry, I'll leave you be.
No,
yeah,
thank you very much.
We'll keep you safe.
Please just treat me like anyone else.
Oh, this guard kind of laughs and swipes a hand at you, and then kind of returns to some of the other guards who are sort of like congregating, like giggling school children. And they're like, as this guard returns. But yeah, what's going through your mind?
I'm not used to being treated like this. It's still new every single time it happens. And more than anything, I just want to sort of get to know these people and have them just treat me as a regular person. But they won't do that.
No, it doesn't appear that they are. And you've noticed that you've gathered quite a few faces, quite a few looks, more so than the keeper over there. And keepers are still rare enough that they normally kind of draw some attention, but no, you're blowing her out the water. As you kind of continue along the road, and you've been traveling for a good few days now, Comstock, at the front of the caravan, the procession, you hear a voice coming from the lead caravan. The caravan itself is dressed in a rich royal blue awning, and yeah, you hear this voice kind of ring out. We have been traveling for some time now, haven't we? But maybe it's time to time to give the horses a rest. Do they need rest, right? Horses need rest, do they? And you just about pick up a small sigh, a second person in the front cart.
Comstock sort of turns around. He sort of steps back a bit, looks at the horses, and he sort of, yes, they look a bit tired. I should probably say a few minutes rest is within reason.
A voice makes some surprise noises from inside, and this head kind of pokes out of the front, sort of like between, like over the shoulder of the cart driver, and you're face to face with, like a dark-skinned Lorivar, and as he kind of pokes his head out, he kind of adjusts the small glasses that are balanced precariously on his nose, and thank you, Sir Comstock. Thank you. Yes, yes. No, I wouldn't want the horses to feel any kind of undue strain. I suppose. I mean, yeah, yes. And the head kind of disappears back in. And you hear a whistle from, like, you notice that the driver of the cart of this blue awninged lead has just kind of looked at this figure that's kind of poked over his head, and he looks to you and just kind of like rolls his eyes in a seemingly knowing manner. And yeah,
Not everyone's an outdoorsman.
The driver shakes his head, and quietly, but you feel that only you can hear it. You hear this driver saying, "Yeah, I don't think that rich boy's ever stepped foot out of the city in his life," he says. And with a whistle, like a loud whistle, the front driver begins to kind of bring the carts to a halt. And yeah, as everyone just kind of starts busying themselves, and like you hear this voice from this expedition leader that you know him to be, and excuse me, you see, and he's clearly kind of poked out the back of the front tent, and the rest of you, Galena, Milia, and Addy, you see this kind of Lorivar hanging out, and he's got this almost like fearful look on his face as he just kind of holds on to the back of the cart. We're just going to have a few minutes, everyone. He says, like waving his hands just to make sure he's got everyone's attention.
Project your voice more.
Of course. Thank you. Excuse me. Yes, we're going to have a small break just to let the horses have a little downtime. Okay. So don't venture too far from the caravan. Oh, you're already okay. We'll be traveling again soon. You'll hear the driver whistle, he says, and kind of disappears back into his tent, into his cart again. And the three of you just kind of catch each other's glances at this absolute fop of a man.
Can't believe they've got us bloody stopping again. I keep offering to give them horses some of my special juice, and honestly, give them a right kick.
But what will that do to them?
Oh, make them. They'll be so much quicker, so much less tired. Maybe some side effects I'm not sure yet, but
what?
The only way to find out is to try.
As Comstock walks past, he was like, "For the last time, Galena, we don't want radioactive horses. The side effects are not worth it at this present moment in time."
Honestly, it's not radioactivity. It's more like it's basically just manipulating the arcane weave so that time travels slightly differently for them. There might be some slight side effects. Maybe they'll travel slightly backwards in time. They might become sentient. I'm not really sure. But, just gotta let me have a go, right?
What's Addy making of this little Terran sprite who's talking about sending horses through time?
Just mesmerise, and she's going to pipe up. Back in my village, we've got some leaves that do a very similar thing. Maybe next time I'm back there, I can get some for you. But yeah, certainly brewing them into a tea will definitely make you see time differently.
Galena just kind of quickly makes some notes on a little notepad, and she's like, "Do you spend lots of time staring at them as well?"
What, the leaves? Oh, you do spend a
I'm-
lot of time staring when you're on the leaves.
That makes a lot of sense. Then you've been having a bit of a, little bit of a bite to keep you going on the road. Wouldn't blame you.
They definitely keep you going for a long time. In fact,
Galena just makes some more frantically makes some more notes.
there's some elders back in my village that they've started on them and they've just never stopped. They just never stop going. They never sleep. They never eat. They just keep going.
Huh? That's what? That's horrifying.
Oh no, they're great.
Never
Especially
seen.
for going up mountains and things. Really alleviate sort of air pressure sickness.
Milia, as
They're
you
also
Milia, as you kind of look on in kind of disbelief at this curious twosome, this keeper in this Terran sprite, you see this kind of more elderly Lorivar kind of stomp around the corner into your vicinity. And in the days that you've been traveling together, what's been your take on this Sir Comstock, and sort of what was the sort of like most pressing question you've wanted to ask him?
Well, he does seem incredibly overzealous, I want to say. And I suppose the most pressing question I would want to ask him, why do you not wear armor on your legs? I don't understand. That is...
As you stand there looking at Comstock, and you're just kind of like you're just staring at him, and then like your eyes just travel down to his bare shins, his kind of dirtied, like scuffed shins, and like
Pretty
you
much eye
feel-
level for me already. So
Yes, yeah. And as you sit there thinking, I swear that's not what knights look like. You become aware of two figures that flank you on either side, and as you glance down, you recognize them as the curious goblin twins that have joined this exposition, that you found out are called Knock and Bock. And the two of them stand there, and they've kind of got these grimy looking blue kind of plaid shirts with like blacksmith aprons on, and they both seem to be able to strike the exact same pose as they stand to your left and right, and they're both wearing the same kind of frown. And you hear one of them, you're not sure which one it is, but you know one is either Knock or Bock, goes, "I don't quite understand why he doesn't have shin guards on." And the other turns and, "No, you're right. It's pretty daft. It'd be quite easy to take him down." Yeah, it does.
My parent would always tell me that that's the best. You should protect your legs because if you get, it's over.
Right.
You can't.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So it's a famed goblin technique, actually, to go for the knees.
I do. I hesitate to point this out, young lady, but you do appear to be wearing a dress yourself.
Yeah, aren't you cold? Says one of the goblins looking up to you.
Not particularly.
You brought a coat, right?
No.
You didn't bring a coat.
Ever since it happened, a little bit more resilient to that kind of thing. And if I need protection, I just cast shield on myself, and like a sort of burst of almost sunlight just envelops me for a little bit.
The two goblins. So as you kind of do this, and like the rest of you all notice that this Asavar that's joined the party, and you've been told that she's the sort of like the divine moral compass of the expedition. That's what the expedition leader said. You see her cast this spell, and these two goblins just stand there with their arms folded, just looking like you see them in unison, suck on a tooth. And
I mean, it looks pretty, but that's not going to keep you warm at night, is it?
That's what the fire's for, usually.
This is where Comstock arrives and is like, "That's a very good point about the fire. Aren't you meant to be gathering firewood?"
the two goblins look up to you and in unison go,
No.
What's their job around here?
So, well, Galena, you can't help but chuckle at the forthrightness of these two goblins. Clearly, these are goblins that give no shits. But you understand them to be the sort of like they're going to be like the blacksmith overseer type duo when you arrive at when you arrive to at your destination. Because as you all know, you're venturing out you're on the road, looking for somewhere to set up a new frontier town. At least that's what you've been told by this expedition leader, the dark-skinned Lorivar that you believe is called Dravin Dram. And Galena, how much time have you spent in the cities, Galena?
As little as possible, I think. Unfortunately, due to recent circumstances, more than I would like, but got an excellent selection of glassware, so
sure.
Swings and roundabouts.
So Dravin Dram has struck you as the kind of guy who you take great pleasure in not associating with. Like he's young, naive, and far too rich for his own.
Have you seen how soft his hands are?
Moisturized, pampered, even.
Oh,
yes,
disgusting.
It's clear that Davin here hasn't really ever done an honest day's work in his life, kind of thing. Like,
not got a single chemical burn in his body.
No, absolutely not. And yeah, but he's been able to fund this expedition, and more importantly, pay for you lot to come along. So there is that. But yeah, you are heading out to help set up a frontier town, the location of which you're not sure, but Davin is very sure that if we just keep going along this road, then we'll find something, right? Surely. I mean, it can't all be bad. I mean, this road looks good. It looks nice. But Comstock, as you hear the Terran sprite giggle, you've just seen the Asavar just kind of do like a divine magic light show. What are your thoughts on this expedition, given how wet behind the ears this Davin Dram seems to be?
He's worried for Davin. He's probably been sort of throwing advice to him every now and again. Maybe more that he's taken more charge than he would have liked to, because Davin doesn't seem to be making decisions in a timely fashion. Everything seems to be happening just a little too late.
Mm-hmm.
For Comstock's liking, at least. Maybe not like for the rest of the party, but definitely for Comstock's liking.
Sure.
Like decisions come like an hour later than they probably should.
Sure. And as you're kind of thinking this, and you're kind of looking down at these gnomes that are kind of giving you a little bit of jip, and they're like just see like cross-armed. Kind of, you see them sniff. You see their nostrils inflate in unison as they kind of refuse to kind of give you the respect that your station is due. You hear a female voice from behind you say, who said we need firewood? You turn to see, sort of like leaning against one of the carts, is as you understand it, one of the designated expeditionary scout, a wolfkin woman, that you've come to know as Frinka. And she's currently just kind of running her glove along the edge of her hunting knife. Have we already run out of wood? She says, looking up, somewhat confused.
Comstock looks back and he's, the Forge Masters here were incredibly concerned about our fair priestess's temperature, so I had assumed that they were looking for more firewood as maybe they'd burn through it or something.
The wolfkin woman looks to the two goblins, and sort of like the kind of utilitarianness of the goblins stands in quite stark contrast to this kind of frontiers woman. She's like got heavily kind of tanned skin, a russet reddish hair pulled back in a tight ponytail, and like all of her and like all of her gear looks like it kind of serves a purpose, being kind of cobbled together, but it's all kind of contrasted by the splash of bright war paint that kind of wraps, like light blue war paint that goes around her eyes, and then two yellow stripes that go through the eyes. And she looks down to Knock and Bock, and the twins look back up at her, and is this true? Have you run out of all of the wood that I gathered, little goblins? And the Knock and Bock just kind of,
No, good, we haven't, no, we haven't touched it, no.
And you can see that for some reason they're just becoming unusually flustered, and then they just gotta,
we're gonna go back to the cart, yeah, we gotta go back to our cart, yeah, come on, Knock, come on, Bock, yeah, go.
And the two goblins just kind of scamper away. And you see Frinka just kind of do a small little laugh to herself, and she looks up to you and, no, but really, do I need to get more firewood? I feel like we still have quite a lot.
Unless Galena has burned through it all, no, I believe we're okay.
No, getting these flasks up to temperature requires quite a bit. Very important, okay?
Frinka kind of nods, and I don't exactly know what it is that you are doing that requires so much wood, but I can get some more, I guess, she says.
That's okay, you don't need to understand, dear. It'd take way too long.
You, like, the rest of you just kind of, if you take sharp intakes of breath, but that barbed comment just seems to go fully over Frinka's head, and she just kind of nods. And very well then, she says, and she just kind of goes back to leaning against her cart and kind of sharpening her knife again.
I imagine Comstock goes to Milia and is like, "Are you okay, my lady?"
Yes, I'm fine. When Knock and Bock came up to her side, she had pulled her scarf that's around her neck up, so it was like right up to her chin, and kind of lets it fall a little bit when they leave it. I'm fine. Like I said, when it all happened, I'm a little bit more resilient to the colds and heat and everything else than I was before, so I should be fine. But thank you for your concern.
Would you also like me to have a chat with the other guards? I noticed they were harrying you earlier.
No, it's fine. I would you don't need to treat me so specially, but they will, and I don't want to take that away from them. At the same time,
Sarah Comstock, if you could just give me a hand with this, hold this flask for a moment, would you? I think she's had quite enough of gallant nights for one day.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Comstock turns to Galena, offers his hand out, like, fair. What would you like me to hold?
I will hand you a small flask that is attached to a series of kind of sort of bubbling little oddly shaped retorts. And I'm like, right, that needs to be just above the level of the retort. No, too high, too high. Perfect. Nice one. Good, good. You stay there a second. I'm just going to check something.
Wait, Galena!
Yeah, I'm gonna give a little nod to our ace of our friend, and then just wander off to find a snack, I think.
Sir Comstock, I'll hold it if you want to get back to your duties.
It's okay for the moment. I will remember this.
Okay, if you're sure.
Addy,
It is fine. You head on, Melina.
Addy, you've
Who's
been
that?
kind of watching, kind of Galena and Malia like for a while, but now this Comstock's kind of on the scene. What, like, where are you at with him? I mean, he's a man wearing a lot of metal. You've noticed.
Yeah, currently I'm furiously sketching a little caricature of Comstock holding up this little flask, and just sort of like mindlessly doodling like a little tutu on him, you know, just around his waist. You know, because I don't know, I think he'd look really pretty with a tutu. It'd go really nice with his bare little shins.
I think as Galena walks past, maybe gets a little glimpse of it. She's just like, and gives you a little friendly little punch on the, I guess the shin, given how much taller you are.
The side of the knee, yeah. Okay. I mean, Addy, how is so you've spent a few days on this like on this expedition, and you know you've met people. You know you've met people that you never thought the sort of people you never thought you'd meet, kind of thing. But how has the last few days kind of shaped up to your expectations?
I think that Addy has been sort of reserved, but in a very observant way. She's brimming with questions, but just not quite sure of the right opportune to go in and just ask them. She just wants to ask everything. In fact, I think maybe seeing Comstock kind of stuck in place with nothing else to do would actually be an opportune moment. So just gonna go up to him and be like, "Hey, we haven't had much time to chat. I'm Addy."
I'm Sir Carmichael Comstock.
Comstock, yeah. I where did you get your armor? I've never seen so much metal in one place. It's just so, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's most of it is Hugelstad issued from the military.
Hugelstad, what's that?
It's a town. It's what's left of a town, I should say, these days. But it was a town that I was born in and defended during the Great War.
Oh,
So,
Hugelstad. I like the sound of that. And she's scribbling away again. Hugelstad.
yes, it's a little town on a big hill.
A little town.
Quite an important part of the war, actually. It's where one of the great spirits burst forth. But
You've seen one.
yes, I believe it was the
Wild spirit.
the great storm bear. I think its name was.
Storm bear. Storm bear.
Yes.
What did he look like?
bloody big bear with a lot of electricity coming off of it. A literal storm bear. But if I'm being, and he looks around, almost like it's an almost embarrassing thing, but if I'm being honest with you, Addy, it was beautiful.
And what was the weather like at the time?
When it arrived, stormy. I think I was, to put it bluntly, a little near death at that point. So, I was missing an eye, but I remember a lot of rain.
Rain. And what emotions did it evoke in you, Comstock? What are you feeling? And you're noticing.
Courage.
You're kind of noticing that she's just asking all these questions. She's furiously scribbling down in this notebook, and has made a very carelessly, hasn't actually covered up the little caricature that she's made of you wearing a tutu, holding the flask. She's just so busy engrossed.
You could see his sort of like mustache bristles, and it's sort of, as he sort of looks at it, it's just.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just a doodle. It doesn't mean anything. I promise. Anyway, emotions.
You're quite the artist.
Oh, thank you. It is a doodle. What? So emotions. We were talking about emotions. What emotions were you feeling?
As you kind of continue bombarding Comstock with these questions, Galena, you're just kind of off, like you're off to the side. You found you've managed to kind of grab a small handful of the rations supply. So you're just kind of stood chomping on. It's pretty stale bread at this point. It's a few days old.
It's all right, bad worse.
Right. But like you're still close enough that you're able to kind of watch this interaction between the Lorivar knight and this kind of young keeper. And you're kind of watching as the keeper's just like asking a question, furiously writing something down. And then every time she asks a question, she just seems to be getting closer and closer and closer to the knight until they're almost like nose to nose. And she's like, "Tell me more." But what do you make of Comstock's story? Like, given that he was in distinct, by the sounds of it, going by his words, he was in extremely close proximity to one of the emergent world spirits.
Can I perhaps do some kind of roll to see how much I know about these world spirits and their connection with
You may.
magique?
The first roll of the entire game. This decides the entire
Here we
season.
go, boys.
First roll.
Don't crit this.
Roll me a nature check, please.
Ooh.
Oh.
I watch eagerly.
Okay. 14. Well, you roll a 10 and then get a 14. So perfectly down the middle. This campaign will be perfectly average. Yeah. Nailed it.
That's exceeding my expectations already.
So Galena, you kind of, for context, where was Galena during the Eschaton?
Galena was out in her ramshackle but sturdy hut in a small swamp not too far from the village of Spinel. Probably working, I would say, pretty fervently on some new cocktails of chemicals. Shortly after which, she was in the center of a large city, which has been a difficult adjustment for her.
Sure. Okay. So, in which case, like you kind of look this knight up and down, and you note the state of his armor. You note his kind of lingering injuries. Like you can see there's an eye patch underneath the helmet that he's wearing, and he's definitely got that kind of soldier vibe about him. But the thought that this chap was in the idea that he was in the presence of a world spirit that close, improbable, but certainly probable.
Okay.
Certainly possible. I mean, from what you gather, did you see any of the world spirits yourselves,
I
or just hear tales of them?
suspect I may have seen some in the distance. I may have seen a many-headed serpent writhing across the horizon,
Sure.
but not close enough that I was directly affected by it.
Sure. I mean, just based off the size of the one that you saw off on the horizon, you can well imagine, obviously they had to come out of somewhere, and given that potentially this chap here, this Comstock, was probably he was at the forefront of the fight, whichever fight it was. I mean, yeah, maybe that was where one of the world spirits was birthed, in which case this chap should consider himself lucky that he's been in the presence of an actual god.
I'll quickly, I'll scurry on up. I will quickly, focusing on my connection with the earth that is brought to me by my Terran sprite lineage, I will cast my Mold Earth cantrip and bring up a spire of earth to the height of Comstock's hand. I will pop the flask on it.
Thank you.
Now, what's this about world spirits? How close were you to this thing? And also, can I take a little, tiny bit of blood? I just want to check some stuff.
I mean, I was pretty damn close. I think I was right by its foot when I was fighting the gate. No, you can't take my blood.
It might have had some effects on you. You might have some special powers that are untapped or something, or be able to call the storm, or maybe you're going to die in a couple of months.
He looks like Addy coming up on one side, he got Galena coming down the other.
I assume Addy is probably still asking him questions during this as well.
Yeah. I was going to say, Addy's going to be like, this is fascinating, Galena. I would love to see your results. You know, our people, we call that the being that you saw Eschaton. And I think it might be the same spirit, keeper of the storms. And it'd just be brilliant if you can summon Eschaton, that I would love to see that. Can you do that, Comstock? Just constant.
No, I don't know. I thought your people knew how to summon them.
As Comstock's just kind of blustering, and he's being kind of tag teamed by Addy and Galena, and sort of like Millie, you're just kind of off to the side, just kind of watching. Like, oh god, oh no. You hear from the blue awninged cart at the front. You hear a voice ring out saying, "I would find it highly unlikely that Sir Comstock here would be able to summon your storm bear." And the back drape is kind of pulled aside, and a figure that the four of you have seen very little of kind of pokes her head out, and you're sort of like heightened from the being stood on the back of the cart. You find yourselves in the shadow of this Majani woman with kind of a bluish porcelain white skin, what look to be wizardly robes hanging off her kind of relatively broad shoulders. The light catches on the crystal horn that emerges from her forehead, around which a tiara is formed, like a metal tiara is formed. And she's holding onto the side of the cart with one hand and leaning on a staff, like a metallic staff with a slight greenish tinge to it, but with like a sea green orb affixed to the top. And she kind of looks down to you with these kind of piercing silver eyes. How do you all feel in the presence of an arcane magic user?
I think
And Galena is just absolutely fascinated by the potential of what arcane magic might mean, and what it can be used for.
Indifferent.
Okay. Did you?
For the moment, indifferent because at the moment he's been badgered from two sides. So
Sure. Malia, how do you feel in the presence of this Majani woman?
Initially, it's a very much a. But within like a second, it's just another person. Just another person. She's not here for the book. Not here for the book.
Okay. Addy?
I think curious, but Addy is currently reading a little bit from Comstock's last comment about being able to summon the world spirits as being something that her people should do, and that would have taken the wind out of her sails a little bit, and she might have faltered and stuttered a little bit and sort of, fallen silent in the presence of this new person.
Sure. So as you look up to this new person, and you know this wizard's name to be Haladradis. Haladradis kind of looks down, and there's like you've seen very little of this Majani woman, but the interactions that you have had with her have really kind of set in this feeling of like no nonsense stoicism, and you can like the being an arcane wielder, you can almost feel this presence emanating off the wizard, and you're not entirely sure if that kind of melds in with the feeling of potential fear from the fact that this Majani can channel the very energies that have done to the powers that wreaked havoc across elsewhere. But in this moment, the wizard kind of, whilst the wizard's presence is imposing, you don't feel like you're in any danger. Haladradis looks like the pinnacle of composure. During the Eschaton, it took the prayers of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, to summon the primal spirits. I would be very impressed if Sir Comstock here could manage such a feat on his own. She kind of takes a deep breath in, and she looks over to you, Galena, and whilst some of your experimentation concerns me, if you require any assistance, I will see what I can do to help. If nothing more, for the safety of the expedition.
Oh, that's mighty kind of you, ma'am.
She nods. She turns her head to you, Malia, and she kind of fixes you with a stare, and then she just you give me a perception check.
6.
Okay, so you just kind of you find yourselves transfixed by the look of this Majani wizard. The rest of you though notice that as this wizard kind of looks down from the back of the cart to the Asavar off to the side, you follow her eyes as they lock with Malia's, and then momentarily glance down to the book that Malia, you've all noticed, has been holding for like a newborn child to her chest. But yeah, the Majani's eyes flick down to the book and then flick back up to Malia's eyes before kind of turning away. And the wizard takes a breath, looks around, and I think perhaps the horses have rested enough, don't you think, Davin? And you hear, if you think so, from inside the front cart. As The wizard looks to you, nods, and as you were, she says. She kind of ducks back into the front carriage. Yeah. You like? Are there any? Is there anything that any of you want to say to one another as the expeditioneers start packing back up to carry on moving?
Ah, gloomy bastard, ain't she?
Yes, but she's got an awful shiny horn, and I wish she'd tell me her secret because I can never get my horns shining like that. It's amazing.
Ah, you won't, my dear. There's some sort of like crystal magic. The something about how the facets of the crystals. It refracts the magic and allows her to use it. I think. Haven't had a chance to get my hands on one yet, though. So no such luck.
I would not attempt pushing my luck to try and acquire one, Galida. It may result in explosive consequences. Not that anything you do at the moment doesn't result in explosive consequences.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained, Comstock.
I mean, that's also literally a part of her body.
You'd have to chop her head off.
Don't know. Please don't do that.
No, I mean, so find one that's already dead, obviously. Like, and you ask her something. Probably.
Yes. Majani just leaving heads just lying around every day. Is that something that happens here? Do people just leave their heads lying around?
The cart is starting up again.
Comstock pats at his shoulders like, they don't just shed their heads. It's not something that they do.
In which case, as the expedition begins, as the caravan begins moving again, and you will kind of reassume the positions that you've been kind of in inverted commas assigned or just adopted, and with the sounds of bickering from the two goblin twins from the back cart, the caravan carries on along the road, and with that, let's grab a short break and we'll be right back. See you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
So weak.
Dan, is everything all right?
Julia, I'm so tired. Setting up this campaign has exhausted me. I've got nothing left.
Dan? Dan? Oh God, he's become one with the channel. He needs likes and subscribes to revive him. Quick, you, hit that subscribe button. Yes, that one there. It's a matter of life and death.
I live! Oh, hey, Julia. So, I've got this idea for one of the future sessions. So basically, they're all going along, and then aliens appear and start abducting people, and then maybe they write some dinosaurs who can talk.
Welcome back, everybody. We made it through the first half of the first session. Hooray!
Yay!
We didn't die.
We didn't die.
It was tough.
Yeah, I need to pick up my game, clearly. Yes, we have met our adventurers, our explorers, as they travel along this kind of wilderness road into heavens knows what. But a few days pass from your kind of last interactions, and you can. Those of you who are more perceptive have started to hear kind of murmurings from sort of various people through the caravan, because given how much ground you've all collectively traveled, how much ground you've covered, you've not really seen anyone or anything of note. You've not yet found any other settlements or any other travelers on the road. You've also not really found anywhere suitable to set up this town. Every time there's a discussion of whether a location is suitable, it always seems that whilst Davin seems okay to kind of set up shop, Haladradis, the wizard, always seems to have the final vote in saying no and carrying on the expedition a bit further. So as tensions begin to run high, Comstock, are you at the front of the procession again?
Usually so, yes.
Sure.
Maybe one or two guards with him.
Sure. You hear, so from the front of the caravan, you hear an unusual kind of bird call. And you've been at the front long enough that you recognize that it is not in fact a bird, but it's a mark to herald the return of Frinka, the Wolfkin kind of guide scout. You see her kind of emerge from the tree line off to the left hand side, and as she does, like the front of the front carriage opens up, and Haladradis, the Majani wizard, pokes her head out. There's a fork in the road up ahead. It looks like, I mean, from the vantage point that I had, we could either take what is fundamentally the high road or the low road. If the high road looks potentially shorter, it would scale around the side of the cliffs that are coming up. But if we take the low road, it will take significantly longer. I couldn't say how much of a delay it would cause for the caravan. I guess it is up to you. And Haladradis kind of furrows her brow, and you hear Davin from inside going, "What's happening? What is it she's saying?" As Haladradis kind of furrows her brow, and then looks down to you, Comstock, tilts her head, and your other companions, could you gather them together for me, please? She says.
Gladly, my lady. And he heads off to collect everyone, who seems all on the same cart at this point now.
Sure. In which case, yeah, the other three of you, as you notice that the caravan's kind of come to a stop again, and Comstock and Haladradis approach. And Haladradis kind of plants her staff in the ground and kind of looks at you all in turn in a very kind of withering kind of way, a very imposing kind of way. We have a choice of direction, and through my assumptions, some of you appear to be the most well-seasoned and world-worthy. So, I think I would value your opinion more than many others in this expedition. We have a choice of taking a shorter, but more perilous, high route that wraps tightly around the mountain cliffs up ahead. And as she says that, she gestures over behind her, and you can see just off in the distance that you can just about make out what look like snowy peaks. And it's a bit difficult to make out for the haze, but they are there. Alternatively, we could stick to the low road, which will give the cliff paths a wide berth, but Frinka is unsure how much of a delay that will cause for the caravan, and I feel as if time is very quickly becoming a pressing matter. And as she says that, her eyes turn to the supply cart, which carries all the rations. And whilst your rations are still in relatively good supply, Comstock, certainly you as a soldier would know that, if you're not sure how long your journey is going to be anymore, then you arguably never have enough rations. We could have Frinka and anyone else versed in the arts of gathering to forage for food, but it could be a very lengthy delay. So, what would you do? Which paths would you choose?
What was wrong with that field yesterday, Hallie?
The field?
Yeah. Last
To-
place that looked absolutely fine to settle down, you keep on pushing us.
It
We
was.
did have a lovely little creek.
A lovely creek.
And it was also infested with poison ivy.
Exactly. Perfect.
Haladradus kind of nods at you, Addy, as you step in and answer before she gets a chance to, and then the wizard turns her head to look at you again, Galena. As you're like, yeah, and and like, yeah, the Haladradus kind of raises her eyebrows, and then her head almost snaps to look to you, Milia. Where would you go?
Well, if the level of danger is not too high, the high roads, how dangerous are we thinking it would be? There's only so much we could do against strong winds and other things like that. We can't truly control nature around us, so
As you say that, Haladradus' eyes very briefly flick to Addy and then back. But then the wizard nods. Very well. The high road, if it's not too dangerous. And you, Sir Comstock?
Back in Hugelstadt, there was mountains nearby, a mountainous path or a low valley. It became a common saying that if one man took the high road, the quicker of the ways, or another man took the low road, the one who took the low road would be in Hugelstadt before the other, because of the dangers faced within the mountains. I personally say the low road. Less danger, the better for the party. Obviously, we can still, not that we've seen much game, but still hunt for game on the lower roads. Food will become more scarce to find if we get lost in the mountain past.
The wizard nods. Wise words. The low road. She looks to you, Addy. What path would you take?
Well, the most dangerous path leads to the most interesting stories at the end.
Haladradus, interestingly, she almost looks like her eyes narrow at you slightly, and then the expression kind of softens, and for the sake of the stories, the high road. And then she turns to you, Galena.
Young Addy's got it. I'm bored. Look, we got some kind of magic woman who can't even be cold. Like, hey, we're not gonna find anything out by starving to death down in the valleys.
Haladradus nods, and it would seem, unfortunately, Sir Comstock, that you have been outvoted.
Was this the party's desire? Then I shall see it done.
The wizard nods, and she turns, and like from the shadows, Frinka steps out. We will take the high road. Do what you can to scout ahead. And the Wolfkin woman nods, and then just kind of like whistling, kind of rolls round the side of the carriage and disappears off.
Frinka.
The woman stops. Yes.
Before you go, what are you expecting out there? Rather hear it from you than through old wizard chops over here.
You can always hear the slow head tilt from Haladradus as you say that, and Frinka, she kind of crosses her hands, and I would be expecting kind of the normal stuff, but this is curious. I'm seeing less and less tracks the further along the road we go. Perhaps they are in hiding.
The animals.
Perhaps, yes.
Animals are pretty stupid. We'll be fine.
Frinka nods.
Thanks, Frank.
She kind of waves to you, and yeah, she disappears off. Runs ahead.
Wait, before you go.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I just take her hand, just go, be safe, and I'm gonna cast Enhance Ability on her. Cat's Grace.
Oh.
Advantage on Dexterity checks, doesn't take damage from falling 20 feet or less.
Okay. In which case, Frinka blinks at you, and you see her, you see the tendons in her wrist tense up as you begin channeling magic into her. But as she feels that kind of warming glow of divine magic, she relaxes, and she kind of looks to you and kind of gives you a genuine smile before thank you, she says.
Be safe.
And as she kind of disappears off, you see her kind of look at you over her shoulder as she disappears around the corner, and then she scarpers for it. As Frinka disappears, you hear a voice from the blue carriage go, we're taking the high road? Just as you hear a "Hayash!" and the horses kind of get whipped back into action, and you begin trundling off. Sure enough, the path that you're on begins a slight upwards gradient, and you notice that the further you go along, the horizon almost seems to disappear disappear behind a growing kind of hazy fog that just seems to be obscuring your vision. You can still kind of make out the tree lines and the mountain, the mountains are silhouetted or illuminated by the sun off in the distance. But sure enough, as the path seemingly forks, you can see one path trundle right towards the cliffs and another left, kind of going back down on a downward slope. And with a whistle, the horses pulling the carriages and yourselves take the right turn up onto the high grounds. The progress of the journey becomes much slower as the path that you're traveling on begins narrowing the higher it goes. And are any of you scared of heights?
I
Let's go for
am
it.
very much not keen.
Okay. In which case, the three of you notice that Galena is just kind of sat at the front of the carriage, knuckles going white, clenching onto the front seat, as not more than a few feet, 10 feet to Galena's left, is a seemingly sheer drop down the side of this. It's a good 50 to 60 foot sheer drop down the side of this cliff, and the drivers, to give them their dues, are managing to navigate these carriages along this narrow cliffside path with pretty good competency. The horses, you can see, are a bit nervous and panicked every time there's a pebble rolling or the sound of kind of rubble shifting or a strong wind. The horses kind of snort and neigh, but otherwise, whilst the progress is slow, it's still steady.
Maddie's gonna lean in, just sort of close to Galena and be like, "Don't worry. If you fall, the wind will catch you." She's just gonna wink at her.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just thinking. Okay? All good.
As Comstock, as the temperature starts to get colder and colder the further up you're going, and you can see that in certain parts, the snow that has clearly fallen at some point recently has not yet thawed. How are you feeling about this decision to take the mountain path?
He didn't agree with it, but again, he was outvoted, so he's doing his best to keep it going. He's definitely taking a swig of brandy from his belongings to keep warm. But yes, he's doing his best to make light of what he considers a bad situation, especially as the paths are getting quite narrow. He can see back through the carts to Galena, sort of sitting there like, I'm just thinking. You can see that, some frayed edges are starting to form.
Sure. As you're kind of looking back, and you can see like Addy speaking to Galena, Comstock, you hear a bit of a commotion. You hear a loud commotion, like somewhere further back in the caravans. And from your position at the front, you can see like the curve of the path that you're coming around. You see that the commotion is coming from one of the guards, as one of the guards loses their footing as the ground underneath them gives way, and they begin sliding down the side of the cliff onto and land on a ledge in a big kind of crash. And like there's shouts and panicked cries from the back as one of the horses whinnies and kind of rears up, and the car driver's like, and there's a bit of chaos and confusion for a moment, but you notice the other three just kind of looking around a bit confused, but you can see what's happening, and this guard's just kind of hanging on by appears to have grabbed like a thick root that's emerging at the side of this cliff and just perilously teetering on this ledge. What do you do?
Comstock suddenly halts the caravan, or screams to halt, leaps between the horses and runs through the camp like, excuse me, as he charges past Davin and Heldraz, sort of jumps out the back with a clatter, and starts making his way down towards the commotion, like, man down.
As you arrive, you can see some of the guards, sort of one guard's lying on her front, desperately trying to kind of reach down to grab her companion, and this other caravan guard's just kind of holding on, and you can see the route is every few seconds is just kind of coming looser and looser.
How far down is he?
If you feel that if you were to really kind of stretch, you might be able to grab this guard's hand. Potentially it might even be worth kind of dropping down yourself, but
I imagine Comstock pulls out one of his hand axes, plants his shield down at the top, and sort of, with one hand holds on, tries to sort of use the axe as a piton almost.
Okay. In which case, as you kind of drive the axe in, and then so you're using that as a extra bit of leverage to.
Basically, yeah, he's slamming it down to then sort of climb and try and hold it in, basically. So.
Give me an athletics check.
Athletics. That is terrible for a high athletics run.
Oh no.
Okay. In which case, as you slam the axe in, and sort of as you kind of use it to lower yourself down, and you go to reach for this guard, and as you reach out, your fingers are about to touch when the root really kind of loosens. Give me an initiative check.
12.
Okay. In which case, as the root comes loose and you see this guard's eyes kind of open as they kind of go weightless for a moment, you manage...
As they go Hans Gruber.
Yeah, you manage to lunge out far enough that you grab this guard by the wrist as they fall, and you're just.
I've got you, Willis.
And you're like through the panic cries as this guard's route comes loose. The two of you are kind of hanging desperately from the side of this mountain, and as you like hold on for dear life, others from the caravan begin running over, and you see one of the goblin twins kind of run over and kind of throw a rope over the edge, and it gets tied around one of the wheels, the spokes of the wheels of one of the carts, and you're able to pull yourself back up. And the guard just kind of, as you pull the guard up with you, this caravan guard just kind of looks a bit startled at you, and as everyone's starts like clapping and congratulating, and he looks at you and thank you, Sir Comstock. You and he kind of looks down, and you can see the rocks that have become loosened from the root. The root moving. You see them just tumbling down the side of this cliffside. I think you saved my life.
Think nothing of it, Willis.
And
glad that you're still with us.
And the guard nods and right, well, and he stands up, looks at the other caravan guards, and if you don't mind, I want to stand on the other side of the carts from now on.
Probably a smart decision. In fact, I think it may be wise if we all hug the wall a little closer.
Okay. In which case, like as you kind of turn back to look, you can see the three faces of your companions just kind of poking out from one of the caravan carts, just a bit confused about what's happening. But behind them, like watching from afar, from the front carriage, is this Majani wizard, who then gives you a nod and then disappears back into the carriage.
He reaches down, picks up his shield, dusts off this sort of crudely drawn image of a hill, takes a deep breath, and then it's like thinks to himself, "Holy shit! I nearly died." But he sort of just stoic and but there's a small trembling that's barely noticeable.
So Willis kind of looks to you as you dust off the shield, and I ain't never seen that sigil. I suppose that's not all that unusual. But what is it? It's a bit. What's a big green triangle?
It's a hill.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah.
He comes up for a second. He looks over at Addy and thinks to himself, like, they can draw. But then he sort of goes back. It's like, it's a hill. It's my title. I'm a knight of the hill.
Oh. You must be. What? So did you have like a whole hill all to yourself? Is that?
No.
Is that where your knights have castles, right? Is that where your castle was?
No, I have no castle. You've heard the Battle of Hugelstadt, right? It's one of the biggest battles in the war.
The guards kind of look to each other, and I can't say I have, to be honest. But I'll be honest. I'm not from around these parts.
None of us are really around from these parts anymore. These parts really mean nothing, do they?
The man nods, like thinks about it, and then nods, and well, hopefully it will mean something soon, and maybe I'll when we find parts that are worth knowing, perhaps my family will be there. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be a turn up for the books.
I'm sure it will, Willis.
Right, well, yeah, thank you for saving my life. I'm just gonna stand on the right side of this horse now.
He pats him on the shoulder. It's like, you probably need a new weapon as well. You dropped yours.
Could need some new pants as well.
I'm sure the twins can give you something.
So, after that kind of little oopsie, the caravans carry on a bit further. Malia, you You notice that the sun is beginning to set. Like it's definitely on its way towards the horizon. When it dawns on you that Frinka hasn't returned.
I'm gonna then, as I realise this, I'm gonna get out and find Comstock. Sir Comstock?
Yes, Lady Melia. How can I help?
Just Melia is fine.
Melia.
Frinka has not returned.
Yes, now that you mention it, she hasn't.
I am a bit worried. These cliffs are treacherous, as we saw earlier, and can't shake the feelings that something may have happened.
I'm hoping nothing has happened and she's just waylaid. As you said, these cliffs are treacherous and are taking longer than one would like. Maybe she's just slow going, being safe. But
I hope so.
your concern is appreciated, I'm sure. Is there anything you can do, my lady? Any divination or anything?
It's the only thing I can do for now, as the sun's heading down. Do you have a small object I could use or borrow for a few seconds?
Yes,
Dagger, something like that?
No, I have a pack of playing cards.
That can do, as long as you can hold it in your hand.
He sort of turns around with his sort of backpack. It's like, if you can just
Okay, sure.
shuffle. Front pocket.
Oh, sorry. Pull out the pack of playing cards. I cast light on it and sort of hand it back. I can keep upping this for a while. That's all I can do for now. I'm sorry.
It's okay. As the light falls, it will help at the front, I'm sure. Thank you.
Of course.
Melia.
I will keep an eye out as well.
Maybe mention it to the rest of our compatriots.
As you kind of say that, there's a whistle, like a loud whistle from the front of the caravans again, and the caravans once again come to a stop, and you hear a commotion from the front carriage, and then Davin kind of pokes his head out, looks at you, and there you are. There's a bit of a thing, just up ahead on the path. I was just wondering if you might be able to go have a look, perhaps. That'd be great. Thank you.
Davin, we've broken this. You need to be more descriptive. A thing could be anything.
Yes, it could. If you could just Haladradus has asked you to be at the front, please. Yes, thanks. And the noble disappears back in the cart.
Comstock raises the glowing pack of cards. You have my thanks, my lady.
I'll come with you.
Thank you. And he taps against the side of the cart containing Addy and Galena.
Okay.
There seems to be some issue at the front. I wouldn't go against having a little extra assistance up here.
Of course, I can come with.
Is there anything I can do while just inside, not near the cliff?
Hug the wall like Willis, and if you keep your look to the highest peak, it should take your mind off of what lies to your side.
You mean certain death? Plummeting into the abyss? The endless... the little death? Fear itself?
Well, if you look at the highest peak, you'll not think about the
yes.
impending death.
How does that help? It's literally the worst bit. Right. Okay, you're just gonna have to carry me.
I will be doing nothing of the sort.
Okay, fine. So,
I could carry you.
Good.
If I do that, you're just going to be higher.
Excellent point. All right. So, with a titanic effort of will, I'm gonna prise my hand off
Comstock offers his hand to
off
help
the
you down.
railing. Very begrudgingly take it with my tiny hand around your finger.
Okay.
It's okay.
Oh, my gallant hero, thank you very much.
Okay, so as you help down Galena and the four of you kind of edge, and it's a squeeze along the edge of the cart, kind of between. Well, it's a squeeze between the side of the cart and the mountainside.
Oh, just as we squidge our way along. Sorry, I'm just gonna. If I'm close to Milia,
Mhm.
I'm just like, hey, Millie. Good. Yeah, you're pretty good with them spells, aren't you?
I like to think so.
Right. Take this, and I'll just hand you a small packet of powder. So, right, pop that in your mouth. That'll keep you focused. Don't you worry about it. Excellent for arcane users.
I'm not an arcane.
I've actually tested this one. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
that is the. Let me have a look. That is. That is Mind Sharpener.
Ooh.
So if you get that down your neck, then whenever you fail a concentration check, you can expend one of its 4 charges to succeed instead of failing.
Ooh.
okay, very good. Okay, so in which case, Milia, as you kind of look at this, what is it? A powder? So you say?
Yeah, it's kind of a bluish powder that when you move it in the light goes a sort of slightly sickly green.
Okay. Sure. So as you kind of study it, and yeah, feel free to, well, you just like down it like sherbet. But yeah, as you kind of approach the front, the two of you see Comstock and Addy have already arrived,
Oh.
and
Do that.
you find yourselves at the front of the carriage. The path ahead of you bends round to the left, but you notice that ahead appears to be a barricade of barrels and boxes. Behind the barricade, you see 3 Lorivar kind of peering out to you, and you see the one in the middle, in the center of the barricade, is kind of waving his hand in your direction. What do you do?
So everyone sees the obvious trap up ahead, right?
I think so. Hold on.
It's suddenly.
Helena's already kind of orange eyes flash with an even brighter spark as she just pushes her hands into the stone. And I will activate my geolocation, see if I can feel anyone else within 60 feet of me apart from these guys.
Okay. So, Galena, so it's 60 feet, right?
Yeah, that is not quite as far as these bastards.
Okay. Well, you can see 3 of them in the like behind the barricade up ahead. But what you also notice is that you can feel subtle vibrations coming from like two sets of subtle vibrations, one larger than the other, coming from the caves, just a bit further up the cliffside off to your right.
Fucker.
Just put my hands up. Careful, boys and girls. Something in that cave. Something big. Not
Yeah.
loud enough for those lot to hear me.
Sure. Yeah, you can. This Lorivar kind of waving his arm behind the barricade up ahead. He's sort of like he's shouting something, but like the loud winds this high up are starting to. It makes it difficult to hear what he's saying. And Addy, you kind of glance or look to your left, and you can see it's quite a drop down to the canopy below. Yeah, what do you do?
How do we want to approach this?
Well, I think before we go in guns blazing, we should at least hear what they want. They haven't started shooting us yet. They're just waving at us. I can move forward.
Do they
Find out.
before we start moving forward, can I make an insight check or something to see if they look like they're like, are they beckoning us forward or are they like trying to warn us off?
No need to roll. It looks like they're kind of waving you over.
Okay.
Can I move forward?
Yeah, absolutely.
And just hail travellers.
So as you begin to move forward, what's everyone else doing?
Comstock's going to stay close to Addy, but sort of slightly far back, letting Addy take the lead on this one for the moment.
I will step
I guess
up
I'll-
very, very slightly.
Yeah, I'll...
Obviously,
Reach.
Comstock keeps an eye on here as he's...
Sure. Okay.
You know, I
Keep an eye on the
think
cave.
Galena, she knows there's something up with the cave. She's going to consider going across to the other side, but there's a drop, having none of that. I think I'm probably just going to need to stay back because I don't want none of this. Both sides feel bad.
Okay, that's fair. Amelia?
Step forward very slightly. Galena told me that there was something up there, so I'm keeping an eye on it and slowly reaching for a small padlock that was attached to the sash around my belt.
Okay.
Just staying about there.
Sure. In which case, as the two of you at the back approach, like, kind of take a few steps up very cautiously, the two of you that have kind of approached the barricade, the Lorivar stood behind this barricade, looks to you, and thank you for stopping. What is your business here? Why do you use this pass?
We're just passing through. We are explorers on a mission to establish a settlement on the other side of this mountain.
Okay. I should warn you that the paths ahead are extremely dangerous. We and the other soldiers from my regiment have managed to clear the way for safety, but we will require some of your supplies in order for you to pass.
Is that so?
Yes, it is.
And on what authority
Uh,
do you require these supplies?
on the authority of Regent Lord Brannin.
Regent Lord Brannin.
Mm.
Never heard of him before.
The man kind of looks around, and we live in strange times. If you've never heard of Regent Lord Brannin.
Where is Regent Lord Brannin? Is he one of you?
No. He's further along the road in a keep, looking after the lands that we've managed to clear out. Like I say, we've been patrolling and secured the safety of the roads, but it is unfortunate that we will require recompense for our efforts. So just a small amount of supplies. It seems you've got quite a sizey caravan. But yeah, nothing that you won't miss.
Comstock steps up to Addy. This is clearly a shakedown.
Yes, but they seem. I'm going to say this obviously quite to Comstock. Yes, but they seem to be quite new to this. I'm wondering if we can get around them without having to resort to extreme measures.
I'd say, how about you try to sweet talk them first, and if that fails, maybe I give them a slightly more sterner talking to. And if that fails, then they leave us no choice. But as I said, I'll follow your lead for the moment. Just let me know if you want to change tact. And he steps back and just sort of takes a relaxed stance, but he's close.
If it seems your Lord Brannin, Regent Lord Brannin, apologies, has set up, cleared and set up some lands beyond this pass, then us and our caravan would do well to possibly do business with him, and we would speak to him directly. And if this Lord Brannin requires goods from our caravan, would it not be better if we passed through and met him directly? As I said, we are looking to set up a settlement ourselves, and if we can come to some sort of agreement with your lord, or do business directly with your lord, that would be very agreeable for all of us. I'm sure you can imagine.
The three Lorivar behind the barricade just kind of look at each other. Give me an insight check.
An insight, okay. 18.
The looks on their faces give you some indication that they're not entirely sure how to respond to, we just want to meet your lord.
What are your names?
The three of them look shocked as you ask. He's clearly like there's an awkward silence, and then when you ask for their names, they all look a bit shocked, and like you see their mouths flapping a little bit. And they're
so we can obviously give due recognition to your lord when we meet him. You know, we want to pass on the names of the three brave souls that helped us through this pass and gave us safe passage. And I'm sure your lord would be really interested and grateful to those who helped us.
Sure. As Aunt Addie, as you're asking this, back towards, like, closer to the caravan, Melia and Galena, you can see Addie's just kind of having seemingly a bit of a conversation with the people behind the barricade. What is it that you're doing?
I am. My eyes are flitting between the two talking and the cave. I'm just trying to see which way it's going to go.
Okay.
Very on edge.
Galena?
Partly I'm focusing on those figures in the cave. Can I feel if they've moved at all?
They haven't. They're like the smaller one just appears to be like they appear to be very still. Very still.
Okay. I will, as quietly as I can, pull out a small vial of kind of a brownish yellow liquid, and I will just huck it up onto the onto that cliffside bit there in front of the cave and cast grease in a 10-foot square on that cliff edge, please.
Okay. So as you lob up your vial of grease. So we can place that template just there for you. As the bottle smashes in the entryway of the cave, you feel the vibrations of the two sets of vibrations coming from that cave suddenly move. Like it moves back a little bit. And as that happens, Comstock, your attention is brought across as you hear the sound of breaking glass. As Malia, you're kind of distracted by it. But the chap behind the barricades kind of looks up and what was that? What was that?
Oh, it's a caravan. Probably just someone dropping a glass.
You notice the three of them are becoming a bit more fidgety. Comstock, what are you doing?
Comstock's keeping an eye on the cave, but he's also just waiting. He's going to step slightly closer to Addie. As he said, he's letting her still take the show, but he's like just waiting for the sort of moment to speak up.
So I mean, my name is Godwin, and well, you see that the Regent Lord has given us strict instructions not to let anyone pass without paying their dues. So tell you what, if you offer up your whatever it is that you're going to pay to use this pass, and then we'll take you to the keep. How does that sound?
Addie, do you mind if I interject? Obviously, it's I leave this to you, but do you mind?
Of course.
Gentlemen, if I'm not mistaken, your plan is to block the way, ambush us with whatever you have up in the cave, and steal our goods. Is that the right of it? It's a bold strategy. Let's see if it plays out.
I don't and like the man behind the barricade looks left, right, and he lets out a big sigh, and then you see one of the other individuals like do a sharp whistle.
Gentlemen, I hope you're happy with the order you're in, because some of you are going to watch bad things happen to your companions.
As you say that, Addie, you hear the sound of sort of like snow being shoved out the way, and you notice that like two figures pop up from further up the mountainside and draw bows. Malia and Galena, you also see this from your positions, and like Galena, you're looking up. You've seen the whistle, and like the vibrations in the cage have the cave have started to like stopped again, but it looks like the larger one is pacing ever so slightly, and the individual behind the barricade tilts his head and, all you had to do is pay the toll. The offer is still there, my friend. You look like a knight, so I assume you've got some sense in that helmet of yours.
Do you think we should pay these people the toll?
I think, gentlemen, you should let us pass, or we will fuck you up.
I think you should listen to the lady.
Addie, give me a persuasion check.
Okay. Interesting. Ooh. Persuasion. There we go. 20.
Oh.
As you say this, like the bandit leader, it's clearly a bandit leader. The bandit leader kind of looks at the two of you a bit warily, and kind of looks up to the the bandits along the mountain ridge with their bows trained on you, and that you see some creeping doubt spread across his face, but the sound of that whistle is still kind of fresh in your ears, and Galena, that large vibration that's been pacing backwards and forwards stops, and then you hear, and from the cave mouth bursts what appears to be the form of a bear that charges out from the cave, and as it runs out and places its paw on the area of grease that you've thrown at the mouth of the cave, we'll call it there.
No!
It's Cocaine Bear.
Oh, I didn't miss that.
He's going to add his leaf stash.
Congratulations, everyone, on completing session 1.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I was going to leave you blue-balled at the end of session 1, aren't I? Gotta give you a reason to come back for session 2. But yes, we did it. We got session 1 out of the way. Boom. Yes, we will see what happens with the emergence of Cocaine Bear. And we'll see how this, if anything changes in these negotiations. But yes, I'm liking these characters, and I hope you're liking them too. No?
Yeah,
I know I am.
I am.
Can't stand him.
Fucking pricks.
So yes, I can't wait to see what's going to happen to them next and how this all develops and progresses. But I guess without just kind of waffling and rambling for too long, if you liked what you saw, make sure to hit the like button and leave some comments down below. And who you think this bear should attempt to bull rush off the side of a mountain. We released loads of stuff similar to this. I mean, this is the start of a brand new campaign, so make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon for notifications when we release new videos, which are going to be very regularly. But yeah, with all that said, thank you for watching, thank you for playing, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for running.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah. See you next time, guys.
Bye.
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 Sometimes the hardest step to take is the first, especially when that step is one into the unknown. Our explorers have thrown themselves into a strange new world, but what will they find out in the transformed wilderness? Opportunity? Mystery? Danger? Make sure to join us in the next session to find out. We're finally here. This has certainly been a long and winding road that has brought me, and therefore you, to this point, and I'm so thankful that you're here to share with me and the others. I've got a lot of ideas for the campaign, and I can't wait to present them and see how they transform in the hands of the players, or in fact you, the viewer. If you have any thoughts on what you think would be cool to see, make sure to leave a comment down below, and if you like the video, hit the like button. If you fancy more Explorers goodness, you can catch another video here, and we release regular content, so make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications. So, with that said, thank you once again, stay safe, and keep exploring.